What's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze, and today we're gonna put a little bit of a spotlight on a bot that's about to get a major upgrade in Transformers Earth Wars, and that's right. So Dirtbag and Grapple, if you probably saw the news last week, are going to be going into the next 5-star batch, and I think this bot has a lot of potential. There might be some things we want to rework. So as a playtester, I'm gonna share some of the things that I've been looking at to try to make them an absolute game changer in Transformers Earth Wars. Let me know in the comments what your ideas for Dirtbag and Grapple are as well, so that we can try to maximize its impact on the battlefield. But before we get into all of that, let's go take a look at his stats, see what possibly needs improving or what's actually already really good. So anytime I look at analyzing the bot, I always want to look at his base stats. So here we get the 4-star. He's maxed out level 70. When you look at the rank that I have for him, I still have him as private. I'm probably going to leave it like that for the purposes of my testing right now. And, you know, honestly, most of his base stats are pretty modest. He's a melee type. That can potentially be a negative thing for him, particularly with the current health that he has. He's at 27.6k, which is and this has been an ongoing thing in Transformers Earth Wars for a while. When it's like these melee special class bots, typically you need them for them to have some more health, especially as the game has gotten harder. So that's going to be a problematic area for me. That's going to be probably the key area that I want to address. His damage is pretty modest at 546.9. But let's take a look at the ability, because the ability is called your Alloy Mine, and it says place a mine that absorbs 95% of damage received. It attracts nearby defenses and prevents them from healing. After 10 seconds or if destroyed, it explodes, dealing a specific amount of damage. In this case, a maxed out version is 5,715 in a large area. So looking at that tooltip, there's a couple of concerns that I do have. And the first of which is when it starts talking about absorbing 95% of the damage received, 95% of what exactly? It's just, so I think somehow we gotta go get our hands on that information and make it readily available during the tooltip. And I do like that it says it can prevent healing. I think that's really huge, especially with the era of the healing cluster and such. And then it's got some pretty decent AoE damage for when it is destroyed. So let's take a look at the ability itself and see exactly what it does. Now here I'm just gonna do just a little bit of testing in the prime zone. So I'm just going to deploy him by himself just for the purpose of looking at his ability. So you can already see he's got pretty good range on that ability. Now, one of the negatives that I'm looking at for him, I'm going to drop him right over that outpost. And one thing I would really like to see is for him to be able to pop outpost. I think that would automatically add a lot of value to him. And that's not even really my idea. That was one of my fellow play testers that brought that up, and I just happened to agree. But you can actually see that that mine is attracting some of those defenses up front. And then you can also see that it has pretty good AoE as it explodes. I would like to know a little bit more about exactly what it does or what it has in terms of health for the mine, but that'll probably be something I try to push a little bit more as we test. So he's one of the things that I was looking at as well. He does have a nice G1, so let's go take a look at that as well. So let's take a look at his G1 core. So this is the maxed out G-Metal version of the Dirtbag G1 core. And so what you're going to have is you're going to have an increase for ability damage. In this case, with the maxed out G-Metal, that's going to be 20.5% increased ability damage. And then what it's going to do is it's actually going to create another mine. So every 10 seconds, a mine appears away from the bot, and that should attract foes as well. Within a mid-sized area, deals 2.5 times damage after 10 seconds or if the mine is destroyed. So basically you're getting free ability use. Let's see, damage enemies get healed less, so they'll reduce healing to 20%. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that being a little bit higher, but I know we recently worked that G1. So 20% for 13 seconds. That's not too bad. I'm not going to focus on that part too hard. But let's take a look at the statistics after he equips that G1. All right, so we were sitting at about 5.7K for that AoE damage at the bottom of the tooltip. That's now bumped up to about 6.8, it's almost 6.9K. So let's take a look at it now with the G1 core and see how it operates. So this time I'm actually gonna run him in a squad, just to kind of get a good feel for what his role would actually be. So I'm looking at him kind of like he's more was like a support type. And another reason why I want to use him as a team is because I want him to kind of get in those areas, and you can actually see the G1 going off down there. But what I want to focus on is the healing part right now. So I'm going to drop this mine over there by the MDS, and you can see that it has, well, actually, it still kept healing there. Yeah, it kept healing even with the mine present, because it had a healing core over there. So I'm going to try to target over here, this little area of healing as well. You got a healing build bot there. And it looked like it did stop the healing there. As soon as it blew up, all the healing just started again. So I'm kind of curious, and I think I understand what the drawback is. I'm gonna actually go back and look at the tooltip for a second, because I think it's kind of limiting when you use this ability. I want to reread it, because what I think is going on is because you have to attract the defense, and a defense that is attracted to the mine is going to be the one that's going to stop the healing. So for me, and let me make sure I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, it attracts nearby defenses and prevents them from healing. So what I would like to see is for this to have the standard anti-heal, where if you place the mine, anything within the area just stops healing. But then again, we kind of have acid that does that now, and in a lot of cases, acid can do that for cheaper. You know, and particularly when you're looking at bots like, say, like a slingshot and acid storm, they can do that same job for 3+2. So I kind of wonder what I can do healing wise with Dirtbag to make it more efficient, because now you have something that you don't know how long it's going to last. It might get taken out. We don't know what, you know, the 95%, you don't know what 95% of what value. So those are some things that I want to address. But I also want to take a look at this ability cost. And when I look at the ability cost at 6+3, a lot of the comparisons that I expect to come out in play testing are going to be to this dude here. And that's going to be Blot and Rook, which honestly, most people already use Blot or Rook. And you know, they're not most people, but they're a good number of players in just different leagues, especially at the top leagues. And Blot can actually do this job for a smaller cost. Now, for his ability, if you're looking at 65% of your health, now I don't even have this one maxed out in this particular case. So if you're looking at 41.6k health for him, you break that down into 65%. So now you're talking about having approximately 27k a health for a hologram that costs you less on initial use, can pop outpost, and has a good AoE explosion. So that I'm kind of concerned about. You know, the damage that it does, it is similar to the damage that we got from the explosion from when we were looking at Dirtbag and Grapple. And so we've got to bump that up somehow. Granted, that's a 4-star, so it should already naturally be a little bit higher in damage. But I think if we did the whole outpost pop thing and did something with the healing, then it would be more viable. One of the other areas that I always concern myself with when I'm play testing the bot is, probably the biggest question in the game. People is like, what's the best setup? And because he's a melee type bot, he's gonna have melee type combats. That could potentially be problematic as well. Now, for me, I look at, you could always try to go use some of the more popular ones, Groundhog's in there as well as Growl. But I always want to do something that's going to be specific to that bot that's going to make him better. And as I go look through just the list of combats that he can use, I can find a bunch of combats that could potentially address some deficiencies. Like, for example, if I were to go use like Fire Glide and Interacts, I could try to go help with his health a little bit. But I don't want to really do that. He is a melee type, so a lot of times for those melee types, I'll use like a Lancelon. I believe that's Buzz Strike for you guys on the Autobot side, and to try to slow down his walk so he doesn't walk forward. But then I ask myself, am I truly getting the value that I want to get out of him? To the point that I want to force him into a team and then just use like a Lancelon or a Buzz Strike to try to keep the bot back? For me right now, as it currently sits, the answer to that is no. Another deficiency I was thinking about is I could use like a Dark Star Saber or, Fangtron. So, Dark Star Saber, Primal Star Saber. I could use Fangtron or Shieldren or the Outpost pop piece that I'm missing. But even that's not going to be consistent. I just think the mine should just be able to pop Outpost and maybe even trip a couple of mines, depending on how it's used. So I don't know, but let me know in the comments what you think. Because honestly, in most cases when we're looking at bots, these melee special type bots, usually the first thought is like, hey man, just give them a gun. But I know we're probably not going to end up sticking gun type combats on them, so that presents another challenge as well. So I'm not convinced. I don't know what I want to use on them at this point. So if any of you guys that are Dirtbag and Grapple fans that use them regularly, let me know how you got them set up in the comments. All right, guys. So just to kind of close up, I do see a lot of potential in this bot. I do have some concerns which I address. I'd love to see something different with in regards to fully understanding his 95% block damage. I do like the G1. I would like to see this guy be able to pop Outpost. I want to find some kind of way to address his health. And like the melee, it's tough with a special class melee type bot. With melee type combats. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the bot, and what do you think he needs rework wise in order to make him a 5-star that you would go for, or is he a 5-star that you are looking forward to already? Get those comments in, so when we actually have the live stream, I can actually discuss some of the stuff that we've been talking about as a community. And just make sure that you actually catch me on the live streams. I'll be talking about this stuff there. It's Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will see you there. And I will also see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.